We're taught to get rid of debt. We're taught that debt is bad. Now, debt is bad if you're an idiot. Debt is bad if it's bad debt. That's why it's
Mm.
bad, right? However, unless you've got a wealthy understanding, the wealthy mindset and education, unless you've got a modern day financial education, you probably don't understand there's a thing called good debt. And I'm going to go through some of the secrets that the banks won't teach you. I'm going to show you some techniques that the banks will try to stop you from doing, but you can. Hello and welcome to the Money for Life weekly podcast. I'm here with my co-host Christina Markoski, and I'm your host George Markoski. Welcome. We've got a big session tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about rapid mortgage reduction and how to save over $200,000 on your mortgage. So if you want to save money on your mortgage, listen in. But this is the other thing though. Not only are we going to save you money, but we're going to save you time. And they say time is even more important than money because time does equal money, because we're going to cut your mortgage right down and cut it in half. And the banks aren't going to show you this. And the thing is, I'm going to show you some techniques tonight that I've been teaching for a while now. And the fact of it is they work. I've seen it work. I've done it myself, and we've got plenty of members around Australia that have done this and made it work and paid off their homes. You know, some people, 7-10 years. We had one lady who paid it off in 3.5 years doing this. So
Nice.
Right. So it's really good to be able to pay off your mortgage. You know, they say success, the road to success isn't smooth sailing, and I've just proved it. Okay. So tonight we're going to be talking about mortgage reduction. So if you don't want to be stuck with 25, 30-year mortgage, you should keep listening, because I'm going to show you the secrets that me and 3,500 other Australians have used to cut their mortgage in half, literally paying off their mortgage in 12 to 17 years instead of 25 to 30 years, saving up to $200,000, $300,000 off their mortgage. Now, the banks aren't going to teach you this. I'll tell you why, because they want you to pay all that extra money. And I'm going to go through some of the secrets that the banks won't teach you. I'm going to show you some techniques that the banks will try to stop you from doing, but you can get it done. So you're going to go in, you're going to say, I want to set my account up like this after I teach you how to do it. And the banks are going to go, oh, no, you can't. I'm sorry, against policy. But they can. It's just they don't want to, because the banks are greedy. The Commonwealth Bank, the share price has gone crazy. It's the biggest company in Australia.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go.
You're making lots of money then.
Now, before I go into that, I'm going to go through the market update, show what's happening in the market, do that, have my little rant about politics and energy, and then go straight into mortgage reduction.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay, let's do State of the Nation. Okay, so Labor delivered second immigration boom. In February, Anthony Albanese said immigration would be cut to ease housing pressure, mainly by reducing student visas. Yet, the ABS data shows the opposite. Wow. From January to June, arrivals hit 279,000. That's 13,000 more than last year, and nearly 109,000 higher than the same period. I'm surprised that these politicians are lying to us, Christina. I thought they were supposed to be honest.
I'm shocked. That's unusual.
Look at this. There were 1.134 million permanent long-term arrivals in 24 to 25. You know how many people that is? That is the size of Adelaide. Imagine this, getting all of Adelaide on a plane and bringing them into Australia in 1 year.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about, a whole city. Now, fortunately, 676,000 of them went home, so we didn't keep all of them here. Look, I'm not against immigration at all. But what I'm after is a policy that's going to ease the housing crisis and allow people to have somewhere to live. Because, I mean, this is the thing. As an investor, the housing crisis just makes us money, makes us a lot of money. But there's more to life than money. The other thing is we want Australia to be an awesome country, and we want everyone to live a good life, and we don't want people living on the streets. So normal monthly net permanent and long-term arrivals, more in line with the official quarterly net overseas migration figures, were published with a 6-month delay. So here we go. So basically, the government recently lifted the 2026 student intake target by 25,000 to 295,000. Now look at this. The buyers bull rush Aussie property. So we just had an interest rate drop, and guess what people have done? They've bull rushed the property market and gone in like crazy.
Already? Wow, that was quick.
So last week, the Reserve Bank cut the official rate by 0.25% to 3.6%, the third rate cut this year. And this is what's happened. Now, recent research from Australian Financial Review showed the Australian home values typically rise by double-digit rates 2 years after the beginning of a rate-cutting cycle. So this is what I'm saying to everyone. There's going to be a boom. Now, over the last 20 years, I've predicted it every time. So heed my warning, make sure you get your ducks in a row and you get into property. I've been talking about this for a while, about what's going to happen with rates dropping. And if you look at this, every time they've dropped, look at this, 84, 86, 1988, 92, 98, 2003, 2010, 2013, 2017, 2021. Property prices went up every single time. Never have they not gone up in history. So dwelling values index had already began to track higher, led by Sydney. So the financial markets are now leaning towards another 3 rate cuts by the middle of 2026, which is going to bring the cash rate down to 2.85 from the 3.6.
Can't wait till that happens.
When it's 2.85, that's cheap money. It's going to be good buying.
Cheap.
So this is the deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy now with the more expensive money because I know what's going to happen to my investments. They're all going to be cheap money in the future. You want to get in early. You don't want to wait. Some people are going to wait for the cheap money and then get in. But the problem is the money will be cheap, but the properties won't. But at the moment, the properties are cheap and the money is going to be cheap in the future, if that makes sense. So the Australian house prices at the moment are 2-speed, right? We've got Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth who are just powering along, and they went all up over 90% in the recent market, where Sydney went 41 and Melbourne went 19%. But I've been saying this to everyone, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth are going to lead the charge, and they did exactly what I said. Part of the reason is the population trends of what's happening. People have been moving out of the bigger cities because they're too expensive and moving to smaller cities, right? And you can see here, so the working age population is now 262,000 larger than the pre-COVID trend. So if you go here, you've got Queensland. They've got an extra 145,000 above pre-pandemic trend. Western Australia, 190,000 people. South Australia, 34,000 people above. So we've got more people. And you look at New South Wales, 12,000 of the working age. That's part of the reason. It's all about the money. Now, if you didn't know, South Australia now gets over 70% of its power from wind and solar after closing coal in 2016, right? So what has renewables done for South Australia? I'll tell you what it's done. It's made us the most expensive electricity in Australia and maybe the world. So it doesn't really work exactly the way they thought it would. But South Australia pays 49% higher than the average in the rest of Australia when it comes to electricity because we rely on renewables. And what the government's doing now is trying to get all the other states to do the same thing, right? And what's happening, they got rid of the coal power plants, which are really cheap to run, and replaced them with gas, which is really expensive because renewables, because you're relying on solar and wind, it's unreliable and you can't really produce gas when you need stuff when you need it, right? So what we're doing now is we're actually making a lot of electricity from gas, which costs a lot of money. And then we're importing it from Victoria because they've still got coal-powered plants. But unfortunately, they're getting rid of theirs as well. And then they're going to be stuck and we're going to be stuck as well. So Victoria plans by 2035 to be 95% from renewables. So there you go. Okay, that was the state and the nation. And now we are going to be doing a rapid mortgage reduction. I want to go through the system and show you how it's done. Okay, so I want to get down to basics. Most people, what they think they want to do is purchase a property when they're looking at a property, right? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the shallow. Now, I don't know if you know, but most of the iceberg is below the water. And the tip of the iceberg, doesn't matter where the wind blows, the wind can't affect the iceberg. It's the currents underneath the water that move the iceberg because most of it's underneath the water. So what you want to do with your strategy is go a little bit deeper than just looking at purchasing a property, right? Because what you're looking for really is something deep. And the 3 things that we look at here at Positive Property is 1, growth. How do I buy high growth properties that are consistently double over and over again? And then 2 is cash flow. How do I constantly put more money in my bank account and create a passive cash flow in the future? And 3, how do I protect my assets? They're the 3 questions we ask. That's the 3 questions we answer. And then when you got those 3 things, we can go a little bit deeper because we're a group of street smart investors here. And really, I believe that street smart investors deserve money for life. And really, at the end of the day, what we're doing here, we're creating money for life. We're creating passive income where you get paid money for life until the day you die. So this isn't just something that's temporary. This is going to last a lifetime, your whole lifetime. It's pretty amazing. And when you create money for life, you're doing a lot of things. You're not just creating passive income. You're not just getting out of the rat race. You're not getting FU money so you can tell your boss or someone else where to go. You're getting something much more than that. What you're getting is legacy. You're getting legacy, something for future generations, because housing is getting more and more expensive. The new generations, they're not going to be able to get into property anymore. So you're the last chance for your future, your children, your grandchildren to get into the property market, because what's going to happen, there's going to be the rich and there's going to be the poor. And we can all moan about the rich, or we can get off our ass and join the rich. If you can't beat them, join them. That's what I say. So that's what we're doing. So how do we do that? Well, this is the thing. We've got this matrix here. So you've got growth here. And so right at the bottom, you've got negative equity. Then you've got flatlining. Then you've got average returns. And you've got constantly doubles. This is where you want to be, in that 10 there. And then when it comes to cash flow, you've got going broke, money pit, pocket money, and then you've got passive income. Now, cash flow takes time. You can't get cash flow straight away. Then you've got security, right? And we've had to protect my assets. You've got a house of cards. You haven't set everything up properly. You've got bargain basement, isolated risk, or what you do is get a bomb shelter and really don't cost collateralize and really get it right. So to do all this and get in the dark green, what you need is you need a method, and this is the Markoski method. And in the middle, we've got money for life. And money for life, you need growth, cash flow, security. And to get that, you need access. You've got to go from vulnerability to legacy. You need strategy. You go from mediocrity to mastery. And then you've got leverage. And leverage is from rolling the dice and not knowing what you're doing to certainty and doing the right play every time. There's 9 accelerators for this, because basically, if you don't have access, you've got no opportunity. What I mean by access is access to the developers, access to group buys, which what we do, because then you never overpay for a property again. You get access to the right properties. You don't have to go on realestate.com or wait in line with 100 other people to try to get a property.
I think a really important thing there is also access to the right finance to actually get the deal over the line too.
Absolutely. Access to the right finance, access to the right team, to the right strategy, access to the right research. Now, the next part is strategy. If you haven't got strategy, you're not going to end up the nest egg, because you need a strategy and you need to look at your goals and get to your goals, right? But the other important part is leverage, because with no leverage, you've got no speed. What I mean by leverage is having a coach help you with the work, having the circle of safety and get it all done for you. See, our coaches come and check out what you're doing every 6 months and go, okay, you got equity, you're ready for your next one, because life gets busy and you forget. And when you're investing on your own, you forget. It gets too hard trying to do the research and trying to find properties and trying to negotiate deals. That's all very difficult. But when you've got leverage and you've got everyone else doing that for you, it's a lot easier when it's all down the platter for you, right? Because negotiating deals takes a lot of skill and takes a lot of expertise, and it's not easy. But me and Adam, we negotiate deals on behalf of our members, because it's a group buy. When you negotiate as a group, you're a lot more powerful than one single person on your own. So these are the 9 accelerators. You've got asset protection, you've got the market advantage, which buying before the market, not after the market, buying power, group buying, so you never overpay for a property. The top 100 out of the 15,000 suburbs, we get to choose our areas, and therefore we get instant equity when we buy our properties. Mortgage freedom, and this is what we're talking about tonight, this little section right here. And that's what we're doing. And then we got tax reduction. I'm going to talk about that tonight as well. Then you got due diligence, and then you got other people's money and expert execution. So you've got these 9 accelerators. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through each one and show you how it's done. And tonight we're going to talk about mortgage freedom, because I want to really get some more education in our group and get everyone to the next level. Okay, so the structure of tax deduction and saving up to $80,000 in tax per property, because this is going to help get us our mortgage down. So the house you live in, owner-occupier. Now, the biggest dream in Australia is to own an owner-occupier property, right? That's the fact of it. That is the Australian dream, and unfortunately, it's shrinking. Now, the thing is, owning your own house, this is the hardest thing that you could ever do in your life. I'll tell you why. Because when you get your wage, they take out a big chunk for super, big chunk of tax, and then you get your net wage. And with your net wage, you're going to pay your bills, expenses, entertainment, and then you're going to pay your mortgage as well. It's the hardest thing in the world. That's why I want to learn rapid mortgage reduction so we can get rid of this debt and get it out the way. Now, there's two ways you can pay off your mortgage. The hard way or the leverage way. The hard way is do what my parents did and never go out for dinners, don't spend too much, save all your money, and put it all in your mortgage. Now, do you think that's a good way to do it? Type in the chat. Working your ass off? Well, I'll give you a hint. No, because
a lot of people do it that way because they don't know that there's a better way, though.
That's right. And a lot of people come to me, right? They come to our program and they go, George, I just want to pay off my mortgage. I want rapid mortgage.
That's their only goal because they think that their property, they don't understand they've got equity that they can use. They see the debt as a bad thing, and their biggest goal in their lives is always to just pay off that debt for the owner occupier.
And that's because we're taught that. We're taught to get rid of debt. We're taught that debt is bad. Now, debt is bad if you're an idiot. Debt is bad if it's bad debt. That's why it's bad, right? However, unless you've got a wealthy understanding, the wealthy mindset and education, unless you've got a modern day financial education, you probably don't understand there's a thing called good debt. Now, good debt is not just good debt. I call it amazing, awesome debt because
the best debt.
It's the best thing in the world. Because this is the thing, most people think, okay, you got good debt, you got bad debt, but obviously having no debt is better, right? No. Good debt is better than no debt, much better than no debt. That's what people don't get. Good debt is something that can leverage your time and really leverage you and help you pay off your mortgage quicker and get everything done quicker. That's what I'm going to show you tonight. I'm going to talk about good debt because this is bad debt. And because it's such bad debt, I even suggest to people, a lot of people, to rent-vest. So they rent where they want to live, invest where they want to invest, so they don't even have the bad debt in the first place. Right? So that's what we're talking about. So this is going to be hard, but guess what? Let's have a look at this other house. Now, this is an investment property. But we're going to get the right investment property for this work. Now, what we're going to do with this is we're going to get rent from the tenant, and then we're going to get tax back from the tax department, and they're going to help us pay this property off. Now, when you get help, you've got your tenant, the taxman, and yourself all working together with the same goal. Isn't that a little bit easier than doing it all on your own? Would you agree? This is what wealthy do. The wealthy mindset, the modern education, is that the way to do it. So the tenant and taxman pay for most of it, right? And what we've got to do, though, is we're going to get this thing called depreciation, right? Because the government has incentivized us to help people get a place. So bricks and mortar tax deductible, they're flatline. The fit out's tax deductible diminishing, and then your loan costs are tax deductible as well. So you've got three different ways you can get a tax deduction, and there's other things as well that are small, like you've got council rates and other things like that for investment property, right? Back in the old days, it was really good. You could actually fly to visit your investment property, and I used to always fly to Queensland, Gold Coast, to visit my property there.
And get a tax deduction.
I know. Unfortunately, we can't.
But you can't anymore because they closed that loophole.
Oh, I used to love that. Can I get a tax deduction to fly to Bali for my house there? No, probably not. Okay. So now not all properties are suitable. See, if you get something pre-built 1995, you're going to get zero depreciation. If you get an old property, now you get something built in 2000, you're going to get like $9,000. And then look at this property, brand new, built today, you're going to get 13, 14, 15, 16,000 depreciation. That's powerful. Claudio just mentioned, he said, my depreciation just hit my wages and it has put an extra $200 per week. Well done, Claudio. Love your work.
Great. That's nice. An extra bit of cash flow there for you.
Look, what I love about Claudio, Claudio's a very smart man. He came in and said, look, I've been watching your stuff for a while. I want to do this. And he just follows everything to the T and just makes it work. He doesn't cut any corners, and that's why he's doing so well. Okay, so then we get 13,962 in the first year. So over 10 years, we're going to get $80,000 to $100,000 in tax deductions per property. Is that huge? It's amazing. This is really the biggest thing you're going to do in your life. The biggest expense in your life is going to be tax, because you're going to pay a percentage of your wage and you're going to be paying it for the rest of your life until you stop working. So this is the one thing you want to stop bleeding. Like if you went to a triage, financial triage, and I was your doctor, I'd be looking at you going, wow, you're bleeding tax. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's get you the right property, and then we can stop that bleeding and patch you up and fix you up. Because how we're going to financially fix you if you're bleeding tax all over the place? You're going to just die, right? You're going to go broke. So what we need to do is we need to patch you up and fix all the bleeding and get there, right? That's 80,000 over 10 years. And then what we're going to teach you to do is we're going to do this thing called an income tax withholding variation. So what we do is get a depreciation. We're going to get one from BMT because they're the biggest company in Australia. And actually the CEO came along and did a podcast with me. And he gives all our members a special deal because we go direct to him. The accountant does an ITWV application to ATO, and then it gets approved. So what does this mean? Let me show you. You get a letter, and the letter goes to your employer, and then you get less tax per week, just like Claudio is getting $200 extra in his pay packet. But I'll show you an example. Let's say you're getting $2,000 per week. Your net pay is going to be $1,536. The ATO get $464. And then, okay, net pay, but with a tax variation, net pay is 1,658. The ATO gets 342. You get an extra $122 per week. Now, type in the chat, who could handle an extra $122 a week in their pay packet? Okay, yes, very good. You can just type yes. That's all you need to do, or me. Yes, exactly. $122 a week. So this gravy train goes on for 10 years. But what happens is, as we make more money, we're making less of a loss. So what we can literally do, not with this interest rate, but we did a while back with the cheaper interest rates, you can actually get a property, get money in your bank account, and on paper lose money. So the key to this is losing money on paper, but making it real life. And that's what the rich do and the poor don't. And this is a big hack, because if you're getting between $80,000 to $100,000 per property, if you get 5 to 10 properties, there's $500,000 to $1 million in extra savings on your tax bill. That's a lot of money.
Awesome.
So this is the two choices we have. We can just keep giving our money to the tax department. This is the old school way of doing it. Or we can invest your money in positive property, the new way of doing it. We know what's better. Absolutely. So that's how to get more cash flow. And this is gonna chime in to how we're going to reduce our mortgage. So let me show you how it works in real life. Let's say you get a property for $575,000. The total loan is going to be $590,000, including all costs and legals. Ignore that 549. Someone got that number completely wrong. Luckily, I know it off by heart. So 550 rent, 122 tax variation. That's 662 income, 530 income bank interest plus 175 costs, 710 outgoing weekly. This one is minus $48 cash flow. Does that make sense? So now this is a cash flow calculator. And what I want to show you, this is the fun part. On the right, you can see this graph. And basically you've got the red, which is the tenant, the green, the tax band, and the blue, you. Now, when you're going to own occupier, this whole circle is you. But look at this graph. You're only a small sliver of this, of what you're paying. And that sliver gets smaller and smaller until it disappears. And then who pays? Basically, the tenant and the tax band are going to be paying all of it. That's the beauty of it. And this is what we want to get to. This is called leverage. This is working smarter, not harder. So where do we get a deposit for a property? Well, you've got cash, equity in your home, super, and SMSF, joint venture. You can sell some toys or sell off assets. And there's one more thing. It says be nice to your parents, but I call it a bank of mum and dad. And you know what? A lot of smart parents, this is what they're doing. And if you're watching now, this is a really good idea. If you want to help your kids, this is what I say. Don't give them handouts. Giving them money or buying them a car is not going to help them. What I would do is get them on the program of investing in property and give them some equity. That way they take responsibility and they can create wealth for themselves. Instead of giving them a fish, teach them how to fish. That is the biggest gift you could ever give to your kids, is the gift of teaching them how to fish. Because then they can rely on themselves. Because literally, if you give them equity, they're going to make so much money out of that. Then they can buy themselves their car, they can get the cash, they can have the holidays, they can have it all. But not only that, they've learned a good lesson about investing, because that's what the wealthy do. The wealthy invest. So using your home equity, if the value is 575 and you're owing 300, there's a lazy equity of 275,000 sitting in your house. And this is the best way of building your wealth, is using equity. And the thing is, when you buy in the top 100, you get this thing called instant equity many times. Doesn't happen 100% of the time, but many, many times, over and over. And you can see it happening every week on our program of our members. And for example, we had Claudio, and I'll talk to Claudio later, but Claudio, he bought a property in Adelaide, put a deposit down, made a massive return. As soon as it settled, he refinanced, got the equity, bought a property in Queensland. Now that property settled and he's got more equity. And I don't know what's happening with the equity. I'm going to ask Claudio later on. But if he's doing that again, I'll be pretty impressed, very impressed. So there's a pile of money in your living room and you can use it to create wealth today. So this is the old school way of paying off a mortgage. Not very nice, but I'm going to teach you rapid mortgage reduction. So let's say you got a property worth 500,000. There's the 350,000 loan at 7%. The principal and interest is $19.90 per month. Now, how much principal do you think you pay in the first 10, 20 years? Not much, right? Because they calculate all the principal to be paid right at the end so they get as much interest off you as they can. So what we're going to do, we're not going to play that game. We're going to go interest only. And now it's only $14.90 per month. And the $14.90 per month, we've got an extra $500 left over because we're not spending as much money on the principal. But what we're going to do with that principal is we're going to put it in an offset account, right? And then we're going to get our wage, and we're going to put that in there as well. So with extra 500, all our wage goes in the offset account. We get a credit card that's going to be, we're going to pay 30 to 55 days interest free. We're going to pay our groceries, petrol, restaurant bills, living expenses, all there. So what that means really is all your groceries, petrol, restaurant bills, living expenses, they're sitting in your account for 30 to 55 days, saving you interest. Because with the offset account, the way it works is if you've got a $300,000 loan and you've got 100,000 in the offset account, that means you've only got a $200,000 loan because the 100,000 is offset. So that means that you're using compounding interest to pay off your loan instead of them using compounding interest to tie you in for 25, 30-year loan. Now, just with these figures alone, and then what you do with the credit card is pay in full. And what Christina and I, we use frequent flyers and get first class, business class flights all around the world for free, paying off our mortgage. And then your home loan will be paid off in 11 years, saving you 19 years. This just on these numbers. Now you can see this is a $500,000 property. With a more expensive property, it's going to cost more and take longer. So this is the graph. You got the red, what you used to pay, and the blue, what you're paying now. And you can see these little bumps. That's every month where the credit card goes in and out, in and out, in and out. And basically, interest with mortgage reduction, interest with current loan, savings, $258,000 savings. $254,000 savings.
Boom, there you go. Over 200 grand.
There you go, 200 grand. Thank you, Christina. Now, this is the other thing, right? How do you reduce it down to 5 or 6 years? Well, this is the secret. This is beautiful. This is the best part. What we do is while we're building our empire of passive income, what we do is we get that equity and we get a invested property, and that rent goes in here. Then we get another invested property, that rent goes in here, and each property cuts about another year or two off your mortgage, even if it's not positive. It's just the money flowing through and hitting your offset account. So I'm going to take questions after this because I bet you've got a lot of questions, but I'm just going to finish this off. So that's how you do it. What we do is we build an empire and use our empire to pay off our mortgage instead of doing it ourselves. So this is the 10 in 10 positive property formula. What we want to do is get 10 properties in 10 years, and that will give us a total value of $5 million. The goal is to get 10 properties in 10 years at a yield of 5% income. That would be $250,000 a year passive income. So let's recap. We could always do it the old way, and we pay full tax if that broke at age 65. We can do that. Or what we can do is we can swap our tax for high growth passive cash flow assets. We can claim the depreciation. We can do an ITWV. We can put more money in your weekly pay packet. We can lower our tax to virtually zero legally. We can pay off our home loan in half the time. We can save hundreds of thousands of dollars interest payments to the bank. Build a passive income that goes up every single year. Not only that, also get frequent flyers and all the other perks and make lots of capital. And that's it. This is the rapid mortgage reduction, how it's done.
Beautiful.
So now I'm going to field questions and go through this and talk about it. But I wanted to really connect with everyone and show you that this is the basic principle. And you saw those levers that we're doing. There's 9 different accelerators, and there's all these different principles that we're using to accumulate as much property as we can and get the most growth as we can, get the most tax deductions as we can, get the tenant, the tax span, circle of safety, the loan, doing all the heavy lifting. What we're going to do is the hard work at the beginning, then we sit back and do nothing. The beauty of this program, the beauty of the way of investing when you're using inflation to build your wealth, is the main part of this program is doing nothing. Cool. That's how you make your money.
Like the sound of that.
You make your money by doing nothing. I've made more money by doing nothing than anything else that I've done. And it's crazy, but inflation is always going to beat you. Inflation is going to
You did have to get the investment properties and then do nothing, not the other way around.
Yes. Well, Christina, I could be like everyone else and do nothing. And
do nothing, get nothing.
Yes, no. Agreed. Now, we got 45 people on here and no one's got their cameras on. And I feel a bit lonely here. Your camera on. Let me have a look at you, okay? I want to see you. Give me myself. Say hello. Right.
Now, Claudio's mentioned that he's actually getting his property value to get the equity out to get onto his third investment.
Claudio, that's going to be an exciting case study. I really look forward to seeing that. I love all of our members.
Well done, Claudio, you legend.
You guys just kick ass and do so well. Awesome. And you're an inspiration for all of us, right?
I'm just following the steps, mate. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, I know.
Helpful.
Can you highlight him, please? Can you highlight Claudio? I always like to see Claudio.
Claudio's being shy. He's got his camera off.
Okay, fair enough. I always like seeing Claudio's face.
That's unusual. Claudio being shy. Oh, you're eating dinner. That's why.
Claudio, how are you?
I'm really well, buddy. I'll go on camera. Hang on.
Yeah, you're on camera.
We
You're
can
on
see
camera.
you.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm just having my dinner. I just made a roast chook.
Beautiful. Claudio, you're just kicking butt. You're just doing so well.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, George. I just waiting for the tenant to allow the valuer in. Should be on the 11th with the next inspection, and we're already set to go for the next one. And I believe something's happening in Kombucha.
Yep, absolutely. Man,
I put my name down for that, so why not?
I love it. And look, what I love about what you're doing, Claudio, is you've got the courage to just act and just do it. You haven't second-guessed yourself. And every time you do it, you make money and just getting in there and just doing it. So you're getting the positive reinforcement. It's great.
And I just got that depreciation schedule through for the two properties. And I got my wages the other day, and I thought, my goodness, I'm now positive and nearly $500 a month. But on paper, I'm negative.
Yeah, exactly. On paper, you're losing money, but in real, you're making money. That is
it's
the key.
pretty exciting.
I know. Look,
I love it.
Once you cross the divide and become an investor and you get financially literate, the world is very different.
100%. Yeah, you walk taller.
You do. Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
And look at that.
Thanks to you guys, though. Thanks to you guys. I wouldn't have done it on my own, for sure.
No, that's okay. It's a team effort. We all do it together. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Claudia. Love it.
You're
and
welcome.
I'll follow your
Keep up the good work.
Pleasure.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Okay.
We've got some more questions coming through. How does this mean you need to go with the same lender each time? That's from Emma.
You don't have to go to the same lender each time at all, but you want to build a relationship with the right broker that's going to have your back with Wealth Street and really do it, because that way they're going to be working together with the coaches. What's important, right, is the circle of safety need to communicate together and work on you as a team, right? The deal is when you've got all the circle of safety in one corner, we can all get together and discuss what we're going to do for you and get you to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbie, I'm not sure how the massive mortgage reduction works if you have equity but not a big salary as well.
Yeah, okay. So basically, the mortgage reduction works better the more money you have and the more properties you have. That's just the fact of it. But what you need to do, no matter where you're at, I don't care where your salary is at, what you need to do is follow all the principles, because what we do is we want to maximize reducing your interest. We want to maximize getting your tax deductions. We want to maximize more money in your offset account. So long term, what I want to explain is all these little bits are like little drops dropping in. And when you've got drops dropping in a bucket, it doesn't seem like a lot to start with. But what happens, it accumulates and it grows, it snowballs. And once it starts working and expanding, it's very exciting and it's huge. But what we want to do now is we need to stop the leaking of the bucket, right? And make all the tax you're paying, get those depreciation schedules and start filling the bucket. That's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When do we pay out the loan if it's interest only? We'll have $600,000 in our offset account, but still have a $32,000 home loan.
Yes, that's right. And that's a good question. When are you going to pay off your loan? The paying off the loan is a retirement question because there's three phases. Phase one is saving up and getting deposit, and everyone here has already done that. So then you got phase two, accumulation. What you're doing is getting as many properties as you can, and then you get tapped out, because what happens is you buy properties, then you can't borrow any more money, and then we wait for the market to move up, wait for rent to go up, wait for you to have more money in your offset account, and then all those things combined, suddenly we can get another property, we keep going. You accumulate the properties you need to get to retire. Then once you accumulate all the properties, then there's phase three where you consolidate and decide what you want to do. And that's when we work out, okay, what sort of income do you want? Let's project how you're going to go. Do you want to pay off your loans? Do you want to keep them there? I haven't paid off my loans at all because they keep shrinking, right? It's those big loans that I had on these properties, like that massive loan that I had of $140,000 on my property in Forestville. and that property is worth 1.5 million now, right? And that loan of 140,000, it's nothing. Now, should we go in the private group now, Christina, and end the live stream?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Everyone else, thanks for watching. We're going to go in our private group and see you next Thursday. It's going to be exciting.
Thank you.